Last week, I ran into problem after problem, which inevitably forced me to leave the woods. And it seems that once again, I'm facing a major dilemma. Hundreds of mosquitoes making their way into the cabin. I've made some major upgrades to my largest cabin on wheels here and brought it way up near the border of Canada for the maiden voyage. But despite the beautiful views and good luck out on the water, I'm facing an issue that might have me abandon my cabin right here in the middle of nowhere. This is Tiny Cabin Life. I don't know where these mosquitoes are getting in. The mosquitoes are just awful. They are swarming outside the cabin here. I've had some stragglers get inside. I think I figured out where they're coming in from, but we shall see. I might have to sleep with my mosquito net tonight. I hope not, but we'll find out. See, I got to this campsite late last night around midnight and had no problems at all with bugs getting into the cabin. So seeing all these mosquitoes in here now definitely has me worried for the rest of our trip. Dear Lord, thank you for another beautiful place to get to spend some time. Bless this food and help us to be safe today. Amen. I'm getting a little worried about the mosquito situation in here. There seem to be quite a few that are somehow making their way into the cabin. I don't know if that happened before I put up this little seal on the door. I didn't have it there overnight, and then I just added a little bit more to it. Well, guys, we got a big problem. There are just so many mosquitoes in here. Like, I was about to head out on the hikes that we're doing for the day. Ellie's already in the car, actually. As it stands right now, I mean, we've got, I would say easily, oh, there goes the bug zapper. I would say easily like 50 to 100 mosquitoes roaming around in here. It's just like what happened to me with my micro cabin the first time I ever took it out. And with that being said, you know, I do think we have a similar issue here with the door that I had in that camper, where there's just not a good seal to keep the bugs out. But I've taken this cabin out so many times and in bad conditions with mosquitoes. So I'm just at a loss for why all of a sudden now they're getting in. What I'm thinking of doing right now is heading into town to find a hardware store. There I can probably buy some weather stripping to put up around the door and see if that plugs the hole, and maybe try to find a way to kill all the mosquitoes that are inside the cabin here. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I think that's my only option for now. And if, you know, if the day goes by and we don't solve this, I might have to pull the plug. I'm sorry, girl. Hope we can figure this out.
The nearest town to my cabin is Finland, Minnesota, which is about 35 minutes away. My plan is to head to the little co-op there and see if I can find enough supplies to do at least a temporary fix on the cabin and salvage this trip. All right, guys, I will be right back. Thankfully, the store had tons of supplies, so I was able to pick up some weather stripping, a staple gun, and a handheld bug zapper to hopefully be able to kill all of the mosquitoes that are inside.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna add weather stripping all along the frame. So on this side, we're certainly gonna get it on the back here where the hinges are. There's a big gap seemingly there. And then we're also gonna get it up top and down below as well. And that should solve the problem unless there's a hole somewhere else that I'm not seeing. Sealing up the door should take care of the mosquitoes getting into the cabin. At least that's what the problem was on my other camper. So we'll see. We're gonna start there. I'll go inside, try to kill as many mosquitoes as I can, and then we'll just have to play the waiting game and see if they can still get in.
The weather stripping has built-in adhesive on the back side. However, to be extra safe, I make sure to staple it into the frame. I had to do this same treatment to my micro cabin on wheels, and it worked like a charm there. So again, this should solve the problem unless there's an area where they're coming in that I'm not seeing.
Okay, so at first glance, it looks like we sealed everything up well. I don't see any light coming through any of these cracks. But man, are there a lot of mosquitoes in here. I gotta start taking these things out because the way it stands right now, this place is uninhabitable. We're gonna get this bug zapper going. Start going to town with this guy. This one doesn't give you that pop that you hear on some of the other bug zappers. And so at first I thought it wasn't working. And I'm actually kind of glad it doesn't make that pop because the other one here scares Ellie. She doesn't like it when it goes off. So the fact that this one doesn't do that is actually kind of a bonus. Ooh. That time we got a pop. Well, I've taken out quite a bit of these guys. It's really gross, but you can just see them scattered around on the floor. I've definitely done all that I can do for now, at least. I mean, I could just stay here and keep swatting mosquitoes all day, but I figure we might as well get out on the adventure. Come back later, see how things are, and I don't know, see if we're gonna spend the night here or not. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I've got a couple of major updates and upgrades here in the travel cabin. So first and foremost, as you can see, I did move out the old crib couch. It's a little bit bittersweet, but I love having this larger bench here. There's more room to sit. It's less restrictive without those crib walls, and you get an awesome view of the fireplace. But the main upgrade is not the couch, but rather what's underneath it. I have a fully off-grid solar power system in the travel cabin now, thanks to the Go Further solution from Renogy. And what I love about the Go Further solution here is that Renogy makes it as simple as possible for a beginner like me who has no idea what they're doing wiring something like this. The Go Further solution is essentially a kit where Renogy sends you everything that you need for your system. And then all you have to do is follow a simple numbered diagram which shows you exactly how to wire everything. You could get lost putting together together a system like this with a bunch of different brands and components that may not be compatible. But thankfully here, everything has come from Renogy, ensuring a seamless, compatible installation. I put this whole thing together in about 3 to 4 hours with my mom's help on a Saturday morning. I decided to organize all the cables and cords against the wall here, and that was actually why we decided to get rid of the crib and put in this new bench. I think it turned out great. I've got access to everything that I need here, from my shutoff switches to the inverter, and then we've got the 2 batteries as well as the solar charger down on this side. And then for solar up top, I've got 2 200-watt shadow flux solar panels. These things are great because they not only soak up the sun, but they're also great in shady conditions, which we often get when we're out in the woods like this. Everything is equipped with Bluetooth as well, so you're able to keep tabs on your entire system through the Renogy mobile app. And then of course, it never hurts to get an extra pair of eyes on your system. I took mine to my local solar shop and they gave me the thumbs up and said it's ready to rock and roll. And so if you're looking to add some off-grid power to your cabin, van, or camper, I definitely recommend checking out the Go Further solution from Renogy. I've got a link in the description below if you're interested. And with that, let's get back to the adventure. All right, let's get out on the trail, girl. All right, well, we are back on track, at least for now. We're gonna head over to Tedagoosh State Park to hike up into the backcountry and check out a really, really cool lake. I've only been there once before and it was in the winter time. And so I'm looking forward to getting out there this time of year and seeing what it's like. From what I remember, it really feels like an alpine lake, which is cool, especially being out here in Minnesota. Well, it feels good to be back out on the trail and to be heading up into some elevation. That's what I love about the North Shore region and the Sawtooth Mountains here. It's unlike anything else that you really get in the state of Minnesota. Our hike is kind of divided up into 2 sections today. The first part is on the road here, which heads to the historic Tedagoosh Camp. The camp was originally founded as a private retreat for the Tedagoosh Club, which was an exclusive, getaway for these wealthy business owners. And then it was passed down, and eventually it became part of this state park here. But what's really cool is there are a handful of these historic cabins there that you can actually rent. And I've always wanted to do it, but they don't allow dogs. So I haven't pulled the trigger yet on visiting, but I'm sure I will do it at some point in the future. Well, I believe this is already our junction where we split off of the road. I think we'll take a moment to stop here and give Ellie some water and a little rest. I'm a pretty fast hiker and my tendency is usually to race through to the destination. But I'm learning from hiking with my 2 little kids, or Ellie here, to just kind of stop and smell the roses a bit. Take my time, make a few stops. It's something that I think we could all stand to do more often, and I really, really appreciate it, especially when I'm out in nature like this. Just heard something in the brush over there. Could have been big animal, could have been a squirrel. Sometimes they sound exactly the same. This feels better. Don't get me wrong, the road is pretty, but there's nothing quite like being out on a single track hiking trail.
From the truck up to the top of Mount Baldy, you gain a little over 300 feet of elevation. For the most part, it's pretty gradual. However, the incline definitely increases a bit on the final stretch up to the peak.
Wow. You see what I mean? It really feels like a high alpine lake. Of course, it's because we're towering above it, but the way it's sunken into the landscape and you have the peaks off in every corner of this view, it just is so special, especially again for being here in the Midwest in Minnesota. This is a pretty sheer cliff too. If you look, it drops down basically all the way to the lake. That's easily over 100 feet. There might be a few benches along the way, but essentially that's a straight drop all the way down. And with that, it's fascinating to me how you've got all of these trees and other plants that are able to grow straight out of the rock. I mean, look at this guy right here. It's growing out of the smallest little crack, I have to imagine, in this rock face. But then you get some of the bigger trees, like these pines right here. Somehow they are finding enough nutrients to be able to grow. And I just think that's super cool.
Mount Baldy here rises above an endless sea of spruce and pine, revealing one of the broadest views anywhere along Minnesota's North Shore. And even though the Sawtooths aren't a traditional mountain range like the Rockies or Appalachians, they do create one of the most rugged landscapes in Minnesota, giving home to hidden inland lakes, steep bedrock ridges and cliff sides, and the highest elevations in the state of Minnesota.
And this isn't one of the more famous destinations in the region. I feel like it's a little bit more off of people's radar. And man, is it a special spot.
I had originally planned to do a second hike along Lake Superior today. However, after all the delays from the whole mosquito fiasco, I just decided to head back to the cabin to have a campfire and make some dinner.
This lake is stunning. And while there are fish in it, they're very, very tiny. The deepest point of the lake is only 7 feet. So there's really not enough room for fish to grow larger. And so that's why it's not really worth going out to fish here. And so unfortunately, unless we were gonna go out just for a scenic cruise or something, our best bet is to head down the road a little bit further to a larger lake where we can hopefully catch some fish.
That'll be for early tomorrow morning. But as for right now, I just want to get this campfire set.
Well, not too shabby, guys. After quite a hectic morning, I think we turned things around and had a pretty awesome day. Didn't get to go down to Lake Superior, we kind of ran out of time, but man, we got out on an amazing hike. And to be able to sit here by a fire now and just look out at the lake, I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. I'm feeling optimistic about the mosquitoes too. I really think the door is where they were coming in, and now that we have that sealed, as long as we can get rid of the existing ones in there, we should be good. I think either way I'm going to be sleeping in my bug net tonight, but maybe not. Maybe I'll be surprised. Well, it's finally time to make some dinner, and for better or for worse, I'm gonna be using my oven again. Now, if you missed the first time I used this oven, it was a total fail. I completely burnt the pizza that I made. In fact, I started it on fire. So I'm hoping for a little bit of redemption here, and I'm actually not making pizza. Rye was kind enough to chop up a bunch of vegetables and some sausage, and so I'm kind of doing a little roasted vegetable sausage dish. It should be really easy and really delicious. I just have to make sure I don't burn it. Okay, so from what you guys told me, the trick with these ovens is to continually rotate the pizza, or in this case, our roasted veggies, so that they don't get burnt all on one side. And so I'm gonna really do my best to rotate it. I don't know how well that's gonna work, but let's give it a shot. Well, I definitely think I pulled it off this time. This looks and smells incredible. The meat looks great. The vegetables look great. The only thing that I'm a little bit hesitant about is whether or not the sweet potatoes here are going to be fully cooked. We shall see. There's the slightest little bit of crunch, and honestly, I can't tell whether it's the sweet potatoes or the carrots. The sausage, in my opinion, makes the dish. Obviously, it gives it a little bit of protein, but also it adds just so much flavor, especially if you're a big meat eater like I am. Well, I am happy to say that I think we solved the mosquito problem. There really haven't been any in here. There have been a few stragglers just like that you hear right there. But the bug zapper is taking care of them. And so oh, there goes another one. I don't think I'm gonna use the bug net. I think I'm gonna just keep the fan on and see what happens. But I think with that, I'm gonna try to get some sleep. I'm gonna get up at like 5 a.m. so we can go do some fishing quick before wrapping up this adventure. So I'll see you guys first thing in the morning. Good night. Morning, everyone. I am very happy to say that the mosquitoes were totally under control. No buzzing by my ear, no mosquito bites. I got some good sleep. Oh, no. Oh, well, Cal. Well, spilled my coffee all over my lap. Maybe I'm just gonna focus on driving and drinking this, and we'll see you at the lake. My goodness.
The lake that I'm fishing is another half hour down the forest trail that I camped off of. It's a much larger lake and deeper too, so there should be some decent fish in here. I'm just taking out my little raft here for an hour to see if I can catch anything before I have to head back and pack out.
I'm seeing some fish jumping over here by the island. I think this is probably going to be a good spot to try. Got something, but he's completely tangled up in these weeds. Little pike. Just a little baby. He is really, really small. We'll put him back in. Well, that was fun. It's always nice to catch something, even if it's a tiny little fish like that.
And unfortunately, that was all I got for the rest of the morning. And so I made my way back to shore and headed back to the cabin.
Well, that's going to do it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for coming along. You know, at the beginning, when all those mosquitoes got into the cabin, I was worried that we were going to have to bail and end up sleeping in a hotel or some other cabin. But I'm so incredibly grateful that we were able to solve that problem, head into town, get some supplies, and seal up the cabin nice and tight. It felt really, really good to be back out in this camper. I've got so many memories with my family and with Ellie all over the country in this thing, and it feels good to kind of revamp the space with a new couch and this brand new off-grid power system. I'm definitely looking forward to more adventures in this thing, and I hope you are too. As always, I want to give a special thank you to our patrons who generously donate to this channel. Thank you all so much. But again, to all of you who watch, comment, subscribe, you're all the reason that we get to do this on a weekly basis and share it with you. And for that, I am extremely grateful. But with that, it's time for me to get this thing packed up so I can get home and see the girls. We'll see you next week. God bless.